Hey everybody, Mrs. McKenna here, and we are going to be reading and listening and analyzing Act 3, Scene 3 of Romeo and Juliet using myshakespeare.com. So we know that Romeo is banished. We know that Juliet is upset that Romeo is banished. She's more upset about his banishment than his actual killing of her cousin. We're also going to see that Romeo is very upset. We saw Juliet foreshadow her death. We're going to see Romeo foreshadow his death in here as well. They both mention their own dying, which is kind of sad to think about. And it might be, kind of a little sign that this is where their mindset is. So let's listen along. Romeo's very upset. Friar Lawrence is going to try to cheer him up. Let's listen.
Romeo, come forth, thou fearful man. Affliction is enamored of thy parts, and thou art wedded to calamity.
Father, what news? What is the prince's doom? What sorrow craves acquaintance at my hand, that I yet know not?
Too familiar is my dear son with such sour company. I bring thee tidings of the prince's doom.
What less than doomsday is the prince's doom?
A gentler judgment vanished from his lips, not body's death, but body's banishment.
Ha! Banishment? Be merciful, say death. For exile hath more terror in his look, much more than death. Do not say banishment.
Hence from Verona art thou banished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide.
So Romeo is telling us he'd rather be dead than banished. All right, that shows his mindset right now. We know banishment is much better, okay, because he's not being killed, but Romeo will not listen to Friar Lawrence, telling him banishment is better than death.
There is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Hence banished is banished from the world, and world's exile is death. Then banished is death mistermed. Calling death banished, thou cutt'st my head off with a golden axe, and smilest upon the stroke that murders me.
O deadly sin, O rude unthankfulness! Thy fault our law calls death, but the kind prince, taking thy part, hath rushed aside the law, and turned that black word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, and thou seest it not.
'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing live here in heaven, and may look on her, but Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand, and steal a mortal blessing from her lips, who even in pure and vestal modesty still blush, as thinking their own kiss is sin. But Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished. O friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howling attends it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed, to mangle me with that word banished?
And in line 44 here, we see Romeo actually threatening suicide. He asks Friar Lawrence for poison or a knife because he wants death. So it's really sad to see Romeo's mindset here. Friar Lawrence, again, is going to try to cheer up Romeo and help him think about brighter things.
Thou fond madman, hear me a little speak.
Oh, thou wilt speak again of banishment.
I'll give thee armor to keep off that word, adversity's sweet milk, philosophy, to comfort thee though thou art banished.
Yet banished? Hang up philosophy. Unless philosophy can make a Juliet, displant a town, reverse a prince's doom, it helps not, it prevails not. Talk no more.
Oh, then when I see that madmen have no ears.
How should they, when that wise men have no eyes?
Let me dispute with thee of thy estate.
Thou canst not speak of that thou dost not feel. Wert thou as young as I, Juliet thy love, an hour but married, Tybalt murdered, doting like me, and like me banished, then mightst thou speak, then mightst thou tear thy hair, and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave.
Now somebody starts knocking on the door.
Arise, one knocks. Good Romeo, hide thyself.
Not I, unless the breath of heart-sick groans mist-like enfold me from the search of eyes.
Hark, how they knock! Who's there? Romeo, arise, thou wilt be taken. Stay a while. Stand up. Run to my study. By and by. God's will, what simpleness is this? I come, I come. Who knocks so hard? Whence come you? What's your will?
Let me come in, and you shall know my errand. I come from Lady Juliet.
Welcome, then.
Oh, holy friar! Oh, tell me, holy friar, where is my lady's lord? Where's Romeo?
There, on the ground, with his own tears made drunk.
Oh, he is even in my mistress' case, just in her case. Oh, woeful sympathy, piteous predicament! Even so lies she, blubbering and weeping, weeping and blubbering. Stand up, stand up, stand and you be a man. For Juliet's sake, for her sake, rise and stand. Why should you fall into so deep an O?
Nurse.
Ah, sir, death's the end of all.
Spakest thou of Juliet? How is it with her? Does she not think me an old murderer? Now I have stained the childhood of our joy with blood removed but little from her own. Where is she, and how doth she, and what says my concealed lady to our cancelled love?
Oh, she says nothing, sir, but weeps and weeps, and now falls on her bed, and then starts up, and Tybalt calls, and then on Romeo cries, and then down falls again.
As if that name, shot from the deadly level of a gun, did murder her, as that name's cursed hand murdered her kinsman. Oh, tell me, friar, tell me, in what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me, that I may sack the hateful mansion.
So Romeo actually takes out his sword and is threatening to kill himself with his sword, and Friar Lawrence has to stop him.
Hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman in a seeming man, and ill-beseeming beast in seeming both, thou hast amazed me. By my holy order, I thought thy disposition better tempered. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself, and stay thy lady that in thy life lives by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railest thou on thy birth, the heaven and earth, since birth and heaven and earth, all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once wouldst lose? Fie, fie, thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which, like a usurer, abound'st in all, and usest none in that true use indeed which should bedeck thy shape, thy love, thy wit. Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, digressing from the valor of a man. Thy dear love sworn, but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, that ornament to shape and love, misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder in a skilless soldier's flask, is set afire by thine own ignorance, and thou dismembered with thine own defense. What? Rouse thee, man! Thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy. The law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns it to exile. There art thou happy.
So we see Friar Lawrence showing the positives of the situation. Juliet is alive. Tybalt would have killed you, and you killed Tybalt first. You should have been put to death, but you are exiled. So he's showing all the positives, trying to cheer Romeo up and trying to prevent Romeo from committing suicide.
A pack of blessings light upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array, but like a misbehaved and sullen wench, thou pouts upon thy fortune and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love as was decreed. Ascend her chamber hence and comfort her. But look thou, stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 20,000,000 times more joy than thou went'st forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt unto. Romeo is coming.
Oh, Lord, I could have stayed here all the night to hear good counsel. Oh, what learning is! My lord, I'll tell my lady you will come.
Do so, and bid my sweet prepare to chide.
Here, sir, a ring she bid me give you. Sir, hie you, make haste, for it grows very late.
How well my comfort is revived by this.
Go hence, good night, and here stands all your state. Either be gone before the watch be set, or by the break of day, disguised from hence, sojourn in Mantua. I'll find out your man, and he shall signify from time to time every good hap to you that chances here. Give me thy hand, 'tis late. Farewell, good night.
But that a joy past joy calls out on me, it were a grief so brief to part with thee. Farewell.
So this scene ends on a happier note where Romeo is going to go and visit Juliet, okay? And that's what Friar Lawrence suggests. Go ascend her chamber, so sneak into Juliet's bedroom, spend the night with her, make this marriage official, and then the next day he's going to have to leave for Mantua. All right, he has to leave. Otherwise, if he's caught in Verona, he will be put to death. And Friar Lawrence says, wait in Mantua, and I will tell you when you can come back. Okay, so Friar Lawrence is going to send Romeo away, and then hopefully he can figure things out, and Romeo and Juliet can live happily ever after. Again, it's a tragedy. Things are going to change. So we will continue on with the next scene in just a moment. Thank you for listening.